Over the past few years, we've seen an influx of new Chinese car manufacturers entering the South African automotive industry and kind of dominating it, I'm not gonna lie. Cars like the Haval, Jolion, Cherry, Tigo, and other examples have kind of been running rampant in South Africa. So let's find out if these cars are something that you should be taking into consideration by looking at one of the newest contenders in the compact SUV segment in South Africa, the BAIC Beijing X55 Premium. We're gonna begin this video with a bit of a brief history of the BAIC company in South Africa, since it is really interesting to see how quickly this company has entered the market and how quickly it has become super influential in South Africa. So the company was established back in 2016. It was a collaboration between BAIC and the Industrial Development Corporation, or the IDC, of South Africa, with BAIC contributing 65% and the IDC contributing 35% to establish the company in South Africa and build a factory in Gqeberha, Eastern Cape, that would start construction later on in 2017.
Now, the company has invested about $100 million in the project, which is one of the agreements that China and South Africa signed back in 2015.
A year later, in July 2018, the company would launch its first car, the X25, this kind of awkward little mini SUV looking thing right here. Not to a lot of commercial success, as you can see. Not a lot of us are familiar with this thing. This was personally my first time seeing this car when I was researching this video. So yeah, the first car was a bit of a flop, but they would bounce back in October 2018 with the launch of the B40, this Jeep looking off-roady type thing. It was a bit more successful, but they still hadn't really experienced a really big break into the market. Maybe like how Haval did with its H series and the Jolion, and how successful those cars would go on to be. But those two previous launches would pale in comparison to what they launched in November 2022, which is what we're going to be looking at, the Beijing X55. It rolled off the assembly line in February 2023 and has been straight up infecting South African roads ever since. These things are absolutely everywhere. So let's find out what exactly makes these cars so attractive. Why are so many South African consumers buying these cars? So then, starting off with the exterior, at the front we have rain sensing wipers, automatic LED headlights with LED DRLs, a nice little pattern like design, kind of gimmicky, but gimmicks are what these Chinese companies do best, but it's really well executed. It looks really nice. That little pattern down there on the lower part of the front bumper. Also on the lower front of the front bumper, we find the front park distance control, the sensors. So this car has front parking sensors for those of us who are unable to drive. Moving on to the top, we find a really big panoramic sunroof with roof rails on either sides of it. On the side of this thing, we have 19-inch aluminum alloy wheels, electronically heating and automatically folding door mirrors, hidden door handles with keyless entry, and tires with TPMS sensors in them, which is tire pressure monitoring sensors. Which is a really nice feature to have in a car at this price point. You see how much it costs in a while, but these are BMW, Mercedes-esque features in a car that costs about half as much. Pretty impressive. Moving on to the back, we find a nice split rear spoiler, an automatically opening tailgate with anti-pinch technology, That tailgate opening up to reveal a 350-liter boot. We also have rear parking sensors and a rear parking camera. Really nice looking LED taillights and an LED taillight on the top. Getting into the interior, we find a multifunctional 4-way adjustable leather steering wheel, 6-way electronically adjustable heated and ventilated front seats. We have a folding armrest with 2 cup holders in the rear seats, which are also clad in synthetic leather.
Ina hilo kanje le Android Auto.
Yeah.
Oh hayi mara ngeke iqale veyisho so.
Oh.
Abihlohle. Umshayeli.
Ah, it's nice.
Very nice. Okay phela ngathi ngathi yellow car inhlasa nje. Ngathi masima nje.
What's the PB doesn't bring?
We apparently have a fridge in the center console. That's what the spec list says. I don't want to believe that. That is insane for a car at this price point, but we might have a fridge in the center console. I'm not really sure. The spec list said there was a fridge there, but I'm not sure about this one. I'd have to test that one out to find out if it's like an actual usable fridge. But yeah, apparently a fridge in the center console. And we have 2 ISOFIX points in the rear, which is what you would expect for an SUV at this price point. Now moving on to the more gimmicky stuff that attracts people's eyes. We have a 10.1-inch driver's display, a 10.25-inch LCD display with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all the bells and whistles. We also have an 8-speaker sound system that compensates for speeds.
Feeling. And then kabangilo del
So I'm assuming because the faster you drive, the louder that exterior noises kind of get, I'm assuming that the sound system compensates for that by maybe increasing the volume. Really cool feature. In this premium spec, we also have lighting in the door panels. And we have front, rear and center console USB. Moving on to how this thing performs. It is powered by a 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder producing 130 kilowatts and 305 newton meters that is sent to the wheels through a 7-speed manually shiftable DCT gearbox. It averages around 7.7 liters per 100 kilometers in terms of fuel consumption and can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.8 seconds. But most people who buy these kinds of cars don't really care about those numbers, so that's why that number wasn't really at the top. People just don't care about that. Some other notable features are hill start control, hill descent control, which I described in my last video. So if you don't know what that does, watch the entire Ranger video. Seems a bit excessive, you could just Google it, but no, trust me, it's definitely better to spend like 15 minutes of your day watching that video just to learn what hill descent control is. Okay, let's move on. We also have cruise control and driver, passenger, front, side and side curtain airbags. Very safe vehicle. We also have tired driver warning, so when you start dozing off, it starts making noises and stuff starts vibrating just to wake you up and suggest that you maybe pull over and sleep before you kill yourself. In terms of warranty and service plan, it has a 5-year or 150,000 kilometer warranty and a 5-year or 60,000 kilometer service plan, after which point you'd either want to drive it into the VAL and get an insurance write-off, or or just sell it on and let it be some other person's problems, because we're not really sure at this point how reliable these cars are. They're so new. The literal company was established in 2016. We don't have a basis for the reliability of these cars. And yes, the factory that they established in Gqeberha does also provide spare parts and such, but it would be a real struggle to try and own these cars past maybe 10-12 years. Just get rid of it as soon as the warranty expires to save yourselves from just headaches the nature of we're not even familiar with. So yeah, just get rid of it after the warranty. Rent done. Now let's move on to the pricing. We're going to be comparing it to some of its closest competition. So the Beijing X55 ranges from around 394,000 Rand to 454,900 Rand according to AutoTrader. We're going to be using AutoTrader values for all these cars just to make sure that we are as fair as possible. The Toyota Corolla Cross starts at 414,800 Rand and goes all the way up to 561,700 Rand. And for something that you're probably going to own for less than 2 years, because you're probably gonna get it stolen from you at a certain point, that is kind of insane when you compare it to the Beijing. Let's take a look at the Haval Jolion to see if it fares better. It starts off at 384,950 Rand and goes all the way up to 479,950 Rand. So yes, a bit of a closer competitor, but for what you're getting, the Beijing X55 is such a good competitor. And yes, we don't have the maybe bulletproofness, the proven bulletproofness that we know Toyota to be famous for, or the reliability that maybe we can expect from brands that have been in the market for way longer. But for that 5-year period where maybe you're paying the car down, I don't think you're going to have any problems, and even if you do have problems, it's probably going to be covered under the warranty. So in that regard, it would be a really nice car to buy. If you're a person who is still employed, who still works, it's a really good car to kind of just cycle through. It's not something that you would buy as like a legacy car where you're planning to like hand it down to your children and such. Kind of just buy it because you want the latest, newest, most gimmicky stuff. It's kind of a car that you'd buy if you want the latest and greatest in terms of technology, but don't want to pay premium prices for stuff like BMWs and Mercedes and such. I'm not comparing this car to those cars. Those are premium cars that demand premium prices. I'm just saying that you do get a lot of the creature comforts that those kinds of brands provide at a lower price with the Beijing X55. Really good car. I'm looking forward to one day getting an opportunity to drive it. But until then, that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.